Hello there. Welcome to Book Talk. And I'm your host, Anthony Moirore. At Book Talk, we get to have authors come and tell us about their book. And today we have a special guest. But before we go there, I want to ask you a question. Do you want to be successful, really successful? And by the way, how do you define success? The guest today that we have on our show is going to tackle that issue. And we are going to focus on a book that she's written, that is just a few months old. And I won't take much more. I'm just going to bring on our guest today, who is known as Paola Knecht. Welcome to the show, Paola.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you for the invitation.
Yes, and I'm glad that you accepted the invitation and you're here to share with us some info that we may get to use towards our success. So please, for those of you who are joining, I'd like to give you a preview of who Paola is. Now, Paola is a leadership, transformational, and self-development coach that has been in practice for more than 15 years. So she's had some great of experience and has dealt with people who have been yearning for success and who have achieved success. So you are having the right guest today, whom we are going to hear from. And she's recently written a book, The Success Mindset. And that's what we are going to be discussing about today at Book Talk. And that's the basic of Paola, but we'd like to hear more about her. Please mention something that I may have left out in the introduction that you'd like us to know as we keep on going, even before we go deep into the book.
All right, Anthony. Well, you said it basically all. I'm based in Zurich, Switzerland. I've worked in many different companies from the agricultural and bioscience and pharmaceutical and all over the place. I've been as well. I have my own coaching practice, which is called My Mind Power, where I also have clients of really all parts of life uh, that are looking to get something more meaningful out of their lives and they feel stuck. So I also do coaching practices in groups, one-to-ones, workshops. So that's a little bit more. And I'm recently came out of the closet as a writer. I adore to write, and I also write a lot of articles for magazines. So that's another aspect that obviously you now know with the book.
Beautiful. And please let us know, how did the success mindset come to be?
Well, this was a question I asked myself since I was very young. And I always had like a passion for understanding what successful people or extraordinary people that reach extraordinary things, what they did different from what we call ordinary people, like the common people that you say, no, I cannot reach it or stay in living a simple life, but wish to have a big life. And that was the quest for the book. And this came from many, many years of asking myself that question and observing life of extraordinary people, not only people I met in person, but also I read hundreds or probably by now thousands of biographies of people I admire from all parts of life: philosophers, artists, writers, business people, athletes, etc. And the awareness started to come to me as I started to collect information and also meet people and comparing these traits. And actually I found out that the traits that these great leaders had and observing the people I met that were very successful as well, CEOs or people with very high positions in management and so on. They actually, curiously enough, had the similar traits, personality traits, which I resume in the book as 11 pillars.
Ah. Oh, and you're going to share with us about those traits as we keep on moving. But even before we go further, you come from Mexico. That's where you were born and raised?
Yes.
Yes. Although right now you are in Switzerland, somewhere that I would love to go someday to
That's
see
right.
the Alps. So growing up in Mexico, who are these people that you admired? Maybe some local people that you saw to be successful and maybe desired to be in their place at some point in life. What kind of success had you encountered as you were growing up?
You know, I come from Monterrey, which is a city, a big industrial city in the north of Mexico. And this city is known as be one of the most industrious and wealthy cities in the whole Mexico. So I actually went to school with, it was an elite school. I was middle class, but I went with elite school kids that were in a different social strata. And so I had the opportunity to meet people that were wealthy there, and I was curious to compare, okay, what did their families do different? And I found out, okay, their parents founded companies, they were entrepreneurs, they bring new ideas into the city and developed, I don't know, for example, they open new restaurants or opened new companies or, chemical plants or industrial plants or whatever was the case. And so since a very early age, I was exposed to this kind of people and to the difference. Mexico is a quite unequal country, so you can see very well and the different social status. And since I was young, I observed the behaviors of people that were entrepreneurial and that were working hard and had many ideas and was working hard and getting results, getting clients, opening their small businesses and then growing them over time. And my family is one of those entrepreneurial ones that, my father worked in a big company and then decided to leave and to open his own and started little by little and then he grew it. So I was watching everywhere this behavior of entrepreneurship, of you can do it attitude. And also I saw the other side, the people that lived the common life, that basically stayed in their jobs. Maybe the pay was low, but they thought, well, I have something to eat, I have it easy, so why to change? And so that was the influence in the beginning. And of course, then because I was already a curious reader, I started to read also from bigger like characters, like Nelson Mandela is one of them. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Political activists of the time in Mexico and different personalities. Steve Jobs from Apple is another I used to follow a lot even back then, or Martin Luther King, or philosophers, or writers like Pablo Neruda, Gabriel Garcia Marquez. So I had always these biographies. I absorbed them, and I just little by little, it was not an awareness of one day to the next, I know what makes people successful, but it was an accumulation of observations, of experiencing behaviors of people, meeting different people, doing comparisons, and the result is of all these years is is reflected in the book.
Oh, that's beautiful. And as you mentioned, different characters with different goals in life. You mentioned an entrepreneur. You mentioned someone like Mandela and others who are political activists, and you define them. You bring them in the same definition of success. What do we give definition success? What, how much, or rather, how do we define success? How do you define success so that we may bring those different kinds of people together and we say they are successful?
You know, what I discovered is that these people, they were driven by an inner vision,
Okay.
A dream, we can say, a North Star, or a bigger goal than just becoming, I don't know, Nelson Mandela, for example. He did not dream as a kid or had very clear view that he wants to be the first Black president in South Africa in the apartheid era. He just had the wish to have a more democratic society that brings equal opportunities for everybody, and he wanted to fight for it. And so it was an everyday discovery for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's how most of the greatest leaders came out to do so many amazing things. It didn't come from waking up one day and saying, I'm gonna be the next president or the next CEO. But they had a dream of changing something in society that they didn't like, or they wish it could be better. Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe for the industrious ones, they want to create a great thing that can help you in some way improve your life. And so that's how they start,
Mm-hmm.
with that wish and that inner desire to change something and work for it.
Ah, good. And I have this question as we are moving on. Do you think there is a misconception of that idea of success on with today's society? With the, I mean, as we are growing up, we look at people and we get a bad picture, a bad idea of what success should be.
Yes, I think that nowadays, and it's nothing new, but I think it increased with the use of social media, that we see success as something else. We tend to connect success with overconsumption, with earning a lot of money, getting a specific status in society, or getting more attention. This era of the influencers, what have we learned from the era of the influencers in Instagram or Facebook or so, that we want to emulate those lives because we like what we see and we see that they have followers. So we start to think, to be successful or to gain attention from people, I need to be traveling to the hottest places. I need to get the latest car on the market and the best technological gadget and things like this, no? And it came already from before, and even in our own neighborhoods. I remember when I was growing up, as I told you, I went to elite schools, and the popular kids were the kids with the best toys, the best clothes, the ones that had the nicest car or the nicest house. So I think we grew up believing that accumulating is becoming. So if I'm getting a lot of money, doesn't matter how, but I'm getting money, I'm successful.
Yeah.
And what happens, and I tell you from my experience as a coach, I've worked in many global companies also as a coach, and I have had clients that are directors already or even CEOs, and they come and start the talk like I say, okay, you have everything. You have a great salary, a great position of power, a family to look after. And why are you here? And often the answer is, because I feel empty, I feel anxious, I think something is missing and I don't know what it is.
And what that could that thing be missing?
Often comes the realization that they went through a different path of what they really wanted to do with their lives.
Okay.
For example, someone that decided to become an accountant because you thought, okay, I earn money with this, no?
Mm-hmm.
So I study accountant because it's the popular study that will bring me money, and with this I can buy more free time in the future or whatever and can travel. And then you go follow and you reach certain milestone and you can call yourself successful, no? Because you have a good financial position. But maybe inside you wanted to study interior design, become an artist, or play the piano, or be a football player, I don't know, or a writer. And maybe you had that awareness already. I believe that a lot of us know deep inside what we really love doing versus what we do for money or for making a living. But you think, I will never earn money with this. No, why to spend time or energy on it if I will not earn money? And then you follow the safe path, only to be more frustrated when you hit the wall at normally mid-age, but it can happen at any time. And then it's where the big awakening comes.
So do you suggest that I follow my dreams and not the money?
I believe that money is energy, and where you put most of your energy and passion, the money will follow anyway.
Okay. So if I put much more effort and focus on my dreams, then money will follow.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So the problem comes when the focus is the money, and then after you get the money, you realize that you are not living your dream. That's interesting to hear from you.
Absolutely. And I think it sounds cliche because we can hear it everywhere. Follow your dream. And then people say it sounds easy, but it's not, because I need to earn a living. And this, when I say in the book, take back the leadership of your mind, is that to make you awareness that the thinking process about making a living versus what you love is not a separate thing, or should not be, or doesn't have to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've been trained to think differently when you join an educational system and they have like a template of professions you have to study,
Mm-hmm.
and out of it, nothing else, then you think, these are the only professions that bring me money. But actually, what brings the real wealth is creativity, is to create out of something. And I believe everybody can be creative if you really will follow your inner path, you know.
Oh, that was beautiful to hear from. So what my dream is and what will give me financial freedom, they shouldn't be two different things.
No.
They should be one thing.
And that's what I found from the leaders I studied, that they did precisely that. They never separated um, career with their passion, but
Mhm.
it became one. And this was the path.
Ah,
And maybe the beginnings they did not came with a financial reward,
mhm.
and this came later, because as I deeply believe is that the money is energy, and so it flows where the most energy is spent.
Ah, okay. And I believe that it's not such an easy task for many people who may be listening to this, to follow your dream, expect if you have not seen the money first, and so you choose the easy way out. But we are going to get to know more about the pillars. Maybe we will get some more strength and more courage to go after our dreams if we know about the pillars that you talk about in your book. Please give us a few of them.
Yeah, so I start obviously with discovering your vision. That's really the fundamental pillar, because once you have an awareness where you would like your life to become and who you want to become as a result, then basically a lot of the path is set. You know where you want to go. So you know where to spend your energy, your time, and your dedication. And then the following pillars are supporting pillars to develop your character.
Okay.
For example, the second pillar is then once you discover your vision, you will need a supporting environment to reach that vision. And we start from the inside. So, okay, let's do a self-introspection. Am I really ready to follow my dream? That's a great question. Do I have the right values? Am I acting according to those values, or do I need to change them? Am I acting and behaving in line with my dreams, or they go in different directions? So once you do really a deep, and it's not easy, I know,
Yeah.
but it requires time, patience, and the willingness to self-introspect.
Okay.
But once it's done, then you have a really set a great ground to start shaping your mental maps. So what are the, I mean, if I have a certain view of the world, how does that affect me in how I will achieve or not my vision?
And so you talk of having a supportive environment that is going to help me go after my vision and achieve my dreams. But suppose you find yourself in an environment where the dreams that you dream are strange, rather are strange to the environment that you find yourself in. How do you deal with that? How do you come out of that environment, or how do you fix your own environment from there?
Little by little. Let's say that you wish to become, I don't know, what would you wish to become, for example?
Okay, let's say I need to become a musician, and people have never seen a successful musician in their neighborhood.
All right, let's work with that scenario.
Yeah.
So in that case, you are thinking, because of the world around me does not see me as a musician, why should I become a musician? That doesn't help me. But that's a paradigm, it's a perception. If you will turn it around, you will say, I can become the first respected musician in the community. Will that be a vision I envision for myself? And if yes, do I have what it takes to do this transition? And when I say you have to do the transition and you decide yes, it doesn't mean I quit my job, I leave everything, and I just try to become a musician and then I make it. You can do it in progressive steps. You can dedicate 1 or 2 hours a day to practice music. And then once you get better, start increasing the times. And then, with the focus and with the practice comes also opportunity. You start to see opportunities. Maybe I can share, or I can play here, or I can ask this restaurant if I can play live, or maybe this bar. And then you start little by little doing small connections, and then suddenly it starts growing. The more focus and attention you start to put, it starts growing that area. Maybe you started practicing once every evening, an hour, and then let's say a time pass and maybe you start to get courage and ask people to join you in a band, and then you start growing, and then you go together and ask to play in the bar for free just to get awareness and attention, and let's say they like it, and then you get asked in another restaurant, and so and so. And maybe if you are consistent, in 2, 3 years time, you are a musician playing in the local city where you thought it was not possible.
Mm. And therefore, you mentioned something that maybe was going to come into a question, but you mentioned that I want to be a musician, but then I have some bills to pay, I have family to look after, but I have this dream that is deep inside of me to become a musician. So you mentioned about staying in the job, or rather, if you don't have a job, you've got to look for something that is going to bring food on the table before you become your dream. And what about if you, now we talked about and the environment, and that includes family. You have a family that does not support your dream, and do not imagine you becoming a success.
Mhm.
I mean, with the other environment, I know you can get away from, but how do you deal with those very close to you that are not supporting your dream?
And this is very hard, and
Yes.
it happens much more than you imagine. I believe that almost to, I'll say 90% of the times, there will always be someone in your family that says that you're crazy, you cannot become that, or how are you gonna earn your, I mean, that starts even when you're a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and then you tell your parents, I want to be an astronaut. Ah, you're crazy, how can you get go get study and get a decent job? No, that's what we get as a response. How to tackle that is not easy, but eventually you have to take the courage to act despite their disappointment and their disapproval.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it has to be a decision, a personal decision. And many might decide, I prefer not to disappoint my parents, or I prefer not to disappoint my husband, and I keep where I am.
Yeah.
But this will pay you later.
Ah, okay. So sorry for that. And I think there is someone who wanted to contribute to the show. I'm not so sure.
No worries.
Yeah, but yes. Sorry, oops, now it's gone somewhere else. Sorry. Yeah, but yes, it interrupted that and drove me to us. Okay, sorry for that. Let's keep on moving. So uh, give us some more pillars. Because
Another
we have 11, you won't give us all of them, but we'd like you to have maybe another two.
another interesting one is about talent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically saying talent alone is not success.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe this is an important pillar because we all have talents. And I believe that is often connected that you love something and you're naturally talented to do that. Otherwise, how it's like love acts in that way. It's excellent when you're excellent at what you do because you love what you do. So that's a talent.
Yeah.
However, even if you are born a gifted musician or mathematician or bake cakes or whatever, if you don't persist on it, if you don't practice, and if you don't keep learning, then the talent alone will not make you millionaire, or it will not take you very far.
Mm-hmm. So what do you suggest?
So I suggest that do not stop when you develop a talent or when you recognize a talent. Do not just stop at it, because 90% of and let's say talent is 1%, but persistence and hard work is 99% of the success formula.
Okay.
So what I recommend in that pillar, and I bring a bit of examples of people that follow that path, and basically that you just have to keep working on it, keep learning. Even if you're considered at the top of your level and you're appraised and you came to the top, do not assume I just stay there because I reach it. It's
Mhm.
the beginning. It's a never-ending process. You always have something to learn. The world changes quickly. So my recommendation in that pillar is, once you recognize your talents or you know what your talents are, do not stop there. Persist, learn. Do not take it as a given that success will always be there.
Mm. You discuss about the place that we are right now and what you should do. But then we are never assured of success. I mean, because we have had the stories of failure. So how do I deal with that fear of failures? Like, I can I start and fail at some point? Can I be assured that I'm going to be a success in whatever I'm trying? How do you overcome that?
There is never assurance that you will succeed at something.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that we have to live with. And I think that's part of the beauty of life. You never know where life will lead you, and uncertainty, it will always be part of the game. And in the uncertainty is also the creativity.
Okay.
So if you see fear as a something paralyzing, I mean, what makes you afraid of something? A part of the obvious, which is the biological effect of being afraid of danger.
Mm-hmm.
That's natural, is embedded in us. But in our modern times, if you take out the pandemic and these things, in the modern world, what makes you afraid is actually the interaction with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because at survival we succeeded somehow, but when you're talking about interacting with others, I think that's where the anxiety relies.
Ah.
And
So,
so,
mm.
yeah.
So you say by interacting with others, that's where that fear comes from.
I think a lot of it comes from that, the uncertainty of the unknown,
Yeah.
plus that you have to interact with so many people and you don't know what the outcome will be. Because we need people for everything. If you want to become a musician, you need to get the approval of other people and reward you or recognize you as a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our main fear, is to not be to not be approved by society,
Okay.
or that they don't see us in a good light, or the so-called fail. You don't know you have failed. It is your acceptance or your perception of the rejection of the others.
Mm. Beautiful, beautiful. So for those who are joining us right now, or those who watch or listen to this podcast after we are through, we are talking to Paola Knecht and covering the book, The Success Mindset, that she wrote. When was it published?
In November last year,
November 2021. And where can people find it if they want it?
in Amazon,
Uh,
Amazon.com, and it's in all marketplaces on Amazon. Yeah.
oh, beautiful. So we are going to share the link to the book so that you can go and get it. And also uh, Paola's website, which you can go and follow her and know much more about her. And also maybe get some coaching from her on how to go to success, how to achieve success in whatever that is you're doing. So we are very grateful, Paola, that you have been with us on this show. But before you go, we would like to hear you tell us some few words that we should always remember in regard to this book that you've written.
To some what? Sorry, some quotes.
Some words that you would like us to remember, even after we
Some
are through.
words.
Yeah,
Yes.
some words.
Sure. Well, the first of all is that you have the power to define your own success
Mm-hmm.
story. So do not let others let define what means success for you. Take back and take back that definition for yourself and the power of your mind, because it belongs to you and only you know what success means for you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony. Was a great
Yeah,
talk and very fun.
yeah, thank you. We are very honored, and thank you very much that you gave us this intro to your book, The Success Mindset.
Was a pleasure.
Yes, and we also appreciate each and every viewer and each and every listener. We have this book talk on all the major podcast platforms. Talk of Stitcher, we have Google Podcasts, Audible, iTunes, anyone that you name them. Just go and search Book Talk at Book Place and you get it. And please remember to share with others, subscribe where necessary, and don't forget to buy the book. That's why we are doing what we do, to remind you or tell you about the book so that you can go and get it. Readers are leaders, and I wish you great success and leadership in your own life. Thank you very much, and bye for now.